Sci-Fi Podcast.
Hello and welcome to episode 114 of the Solo on Sci-Fi Podcast. I'm Michael Ball, aka Co-Clud, and I am, by the gods of science fiction, I'm joined by that very god. It is Mr. Martin Fowler, expert of science fiction extraordinaire. Hello, Martin. How are you? With added sound effects. How are you?
And I'd like to hello, Michael Ball. How are you this week?
Very well, thank you. Yes, just sort of your sound effect keeps fading out, but I can see what you're trying to do, but it's all right.
Right.
That's a bloop already. Yeah, fine. Just enjoying, just going through the motions kind of thing, and getting ready for the last of Strange New Worlds, which airs. It's from our time. It airs tomorrow, so we're going to give the new Star Trek series a review next week. I really want to get your input about this series, but we've been very impressed. And the trailer for the last episode, which looks very much like it's coming back to Balance of Terror from TOS and all sorts of things, it looks really awesome. So what else has been happening with you in your part of the world? Anything interesting to report?
Well, I'm going on stage tomorrow night to do a Star Wars sketch about having sex, like my sex life to a Star Wars movie.
Wow. Well, Martin actually sent me a clip with a routine that he did last week, and he's very kindly given us permission to share this at the end of this episode.
Yeah, but that's just a training.
That's a warm-up, but let's just see how it goes. So, from what I understand, there's a bit of trepidation about this endeavour.
I've met this amazing group of people. We're all get on really well, and I've been with them for about nearly a year. I'm going to do it again next term, and we all go to the pub together after. Lovely people, but twice I've weaseled my way out of it.
Because last time, when you were ill the last time,
I got COVID. I did get COVID.
I remember that. You were really pissed off about it, weren't you? Because you missed out.
Yeah, the first time I didn't turn up because I bottled it, and then second time I got bloody COVID. And anyway,
third time's the charm.
I wasn't going to turn up last Friday. I thought, and I walked in, they were all like, "Oh, what are you going on next week?" And I was like, "No." And I got cornered, and so I said I'd do it, and that was last week, and I have been thinking about bottling out of it today, but I don't want to let them down.
You can't let them down.
I don't want to let them down. So I'm
and
locked
also,
in
I mean, the fact of the matter is that you were going to do it last time, and the dreaded C word came along and affected you. So you haven't got a sore throat. You didn't feel under the weather. You're all ready for
No. I was going to apply for the job as Prime Minister, but. You could be my chancellor.
Oh, we could. Well, you could be Chancellor of Exchequer or something. Yeah, it could be something like that.
Because there's going to be nobody left in fucking government by the end of today. It's all gone.
We should deep fake you, make you look like Michael Cove or something. That might be great.
Before I know we're going to get into old science fiction, but I watched that idiot leader of ours this afternoon, and he was just getting decimated even by his own people. When he walked out of Parliament, they cut it. Because everybody was singing on all sides, "Bye Bye Boris."
It's looking a bit dodgy for him.
Wouldn't you resign? Wouldn't you? You'd go, wouldn't you? I mean, I'm not getting apolitical, but the situation is that if everybody's against you and your entire cabinet's fucking resigned,
but do you remember that? A similar thing happened with Margaret Thatcher in 1991. I might have been a lot younger, but that's what I was going to ask you because I remember that as the last time a leader refused to leave. But even then, there were many factors.
She left.
But she was partly forced to go, wasn't she?
She was encouraged to go. She left.
But she capitulated, basically. She capitulated.
Not like him. He should have gone. He should have gone 4 weeks after that vote they had. He should have gone within that week.
Well, we had the Pincher scandal. That was recently as well.
And
I'll tell you one thing. What a name for a guy to actually get had up for that as well.
What did he say about him? What did one of the MPs say? What's that thing that I got in? Is it true that you said pincher by nature, pincher by nature?
Yeah, he did say that. He said, pincher by nature. He did say that in the House of Parliament. I mean, like I said, we're not going to go too political,
No.
but it is an interesting time. And
You
from my
couldn't make it up,
perspective,
could you?
regardless of whoever I vote for, I would
Yep.
say that it's probably time to get a new leader. He was pretty good during the COVID era, and we've kind of got through that hopefully now, and all that's coming back a bit now. And maybe it's time for a general election of some sort.
We need
and just see what happens. So, I mean, like I said, hopefully something will happen. But like I said, regardless of whoever you vote for in the UK.
If anybody is interested to have a job in our new government, we should be taking power by 9 o'clock tonight, the Sci-Fi Party. And we are looking for ministers.
Oh my God!
You know.
What will our colour be? Well, that's supposed to be orange with the sun or the
Orange.
So because once you but the logo is sort of orangey kind of colour, isn't it? Or it could be black, I suppose. But you know a colour like the Conservatives are blue and Labour is red and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Orange.
We look like liberals then, wouldn't we? Because liberals are orange.
Yeah.
Or
What about
yellow?
Yellow. Yeah, gold.
Yeah, gold.
Gold.
Gold is a colour.
Yeah. Gold,
All right.
yeah.
Okay. So we're the Solar One Sci-Fi and Gold.
So if
Party.
anybody would like to join our government tonight, please send forward your subscriptions. And also, we will be charging £5 a time for the interview procedure. And in 10 minutes' time, we'll be paying Michael £10 to down a glass of vodka, and you can watch him get pissed. And
you mean like what should we call it? Because we should do that. We should do like a certain YouTube channel. We should do how should we call it? Solar.
Let's get hammered.
Let's say hammered. Oh, hammer. Let's say about hammer.
Hammer. I like that.
Stop hammer time.
Let's get hammered. I like that. Let's get hammered.
Are we going to stick on antennae or something like on?
Yeah.
Anyway, let's do that very
fiction.
quickly before we go into the focus of the week.
Yep.
What do you think about spoilers for Strange New Worlds from last week? Hemmer. So turn away now if you've not seen it. 3, 2, 1. Hemmer died at the end of episode 9 of Strange New Worlds. Apparently the actor's still involved with Star Trek somehow, although he hasn't. What do you think about that?
Well, he's
Were you
dead.
Shocked? Yeah, but
I was gutted. I was absolutely. I watched it. I watched it. I think it was Saturday when I got round to watching it. I reviewed it, and I was absolutely destroyed. I thought it was a fantastic episode. It rips off Alien totally. But
yeah, it was.
So
it was Aliens, Predator, and everything.
Wonderful.
I didn't care.
I loved it how it worked with the Gorn, how they caught it. I mean, there were these like coming out here and all this, and then Hemmer. It was very Hemmer. And when he sort of like said to Uhura, he said, "You need a home and open yourself up." And then there was this camera shot at back of this starship, and his body just.
It reminds me.
Do you remember that scene?
But it reminds me of the scene. There's an episode 1, season 3 of Red Dwarf, where Rimmer is ejected from Starbug, and you see his little body go like that out the Starbug, and it reminded me of that. And do you know what I said when he died? I said, "Stop, Hemmer died."
Hemmer time.
Stop him! I had to stop him.
It was obviously it was over dramatic, but I found him to be like.
I think they did
one
it
of
really
the
well.
interesting characters, and I
think
really
they did it
did
really
like
well. People have been saying they'd like to see Chris Doohan play Scotty, but apparently Chris Doohan from Star Trek Continues apparently he's in his 60s. He'd be too old to play the role, which is surprising. I didn't think he was as old as that. I thought he was in his 40s, so apparently they couldn't do it. Yeah, Chris Doohan in Continues. Yeah, his son, obviously, James Doohan's. But I would have thought if he was a bit younger or something, he'd be a perfect choice to play Scotty.
We might not get a Scott. And there's
might not. We might not.
And we're going to get a Sulu as well. Because
it's got to get towards the original series, and so far they're doing it. And obviously, I assume that this season is a year in the actual time on Pike's Enterprise, if it's like the other Starship series. So so it's only 9 years to go, 8 years to go until it's caught up with season 1 of the original series.
In this week's episode, it makes one of the kids.
I know, and potential spoilers here. It looks like it's going to be going. So I think what's going to happen is that Pike, because he knows his future, is going to change things, and so somehow he's going to trigger the recontact with the Romulans, who weren't really contacted after the NX-01 Enterprise era until TOS Balance of Terror. And we're going to see the outpost, we're going to see the plasma weapons, which was seen in that original episode early, and things are going to change. So whether it's going to be like yesterday's Enterprise, where it's going to be like an alternate timeline, I don't know, but it looks very good.
I don't know. This could be because of Picard as well, with the Romulan, when the Borg chick went to the Delta Quadrant 400 years earlier. Maybe it's all changed.
Oh, I suppose it could be.
I mean, that's only theoretical, yeah.
I mean, they said that they are going to have a crossover at some point coming up, but to which show I don't know. If it's the animated series, I'm not interested, because I'm not bothered about the animated series.
No,
I want a live action crossover with either Picard or Discovery, and I hope they do it.
Discovery?
Well, yeah, it's still live action. I'd still like to see something of them. Although technically, you know, the Strange New Worlds, three of those characters feature in season 2 of Discovery. I don't mind it. I don't think it's that bad. I mean, it's definitely the weakest of the 3 live action series.
Well, I'm going to watch it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always hope, isn't there?
A New Hope. No, that's Star Wars.
Star Trek Discovery, season 5. A New Hope. Oh, fuck off.
Burnham doesn't cry. Yeah.
Anyway,
that's apparently that started production as well. Season 5, that is now.
They've wrapped season 2
of Strange New Worlds. Yeah, and obviously Picard is they've wrapped production of that as well.
Apparently, Hemmer left because he couldn't handle the makeup. Apparently,
I said that to you, but I've heard otherwise. Now, I told you about that, and apparently that's not true. No, I saw an interview online. Apparently, when he was hired, he was always going to be on one season as Hemmer. Also, apparently his eyes aren't, they're greyed out. Apparently that's actually a post-production effect. That's not, he hasn't got contact lenses, which is quite interesting.
No, they can CGI.
They can just do it like that.
Yeah.
But apparently he is going to be back. He might be like another Jeffrey Combs kind of thing, where maybe he comes back as different characters. Jeffrey Combs as Stran, and as Brunt, and as Wayun, and all the other characters.
Yeah.
And he managed to come back in the Star Trek universe and come back with really strong characters. So whether Hemmer's going to be involved, I don't know. But I know he's doing some other filming and doing some other stuff at the moment. So if he is in season 2, whatever it is, it's going to be a diminished capacity. So I don't know. But whatever.
There was an article on Facebook the other day. I don't think I shared it. I just went past it. It said, "Is there a TOS reboot coming?"
I don't. Well, do we need another reboot?
I don't know. I forgot.
We've already had the Kelvin universe. No, I doubt that. Why would they do a reboot when it's so?
Well, that's what I thought. It was an article.
It's too close to where we are now. I mean. Yeah, but Pike is almost a TOS reboot in its own right, because it's getting closer to the actual era in which it would be rebooted.
If they bring another series back, I'd like it to start from scratch with new characters. That's what I want. I don't mind this. I love, because I'm a big fan of Anson Mount. I think he's nailed it. The crew's good.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah.
But if they're going to do another Star Trek series, I'd like a new ship, a new crew, a new captain, new characters, something to go with.
They tried that with Discovery, and look at that.
Yes, yeah. Well, all right, all right, yeah, right.
just an observation.
Yeah, well, they fucked up there. I'm on.
Yeah, but
now
they've
learned the lesson now, haven't they?
Yeah, I agree with that.
They've learned the lesson now.
Well, have they? I don't know. You never know. It might just suddenly spiral down like the Doctor Who era. Come on, I'll tell you, because Zoom will time out in about 10 minutes. So let's talk about this, then we'll go into the focus of the week. So I've heard some interesting information about Doctor Who season 14, I think it is.
Yeah.
Now, so the last we have heard about all the characters and everything, but now the latest information, and again, I can understand for a modern audience. Apparently, the TARDIS is going to be fitted with disability access for people in a wheelchair. Now, whether that's going to be a lift or an escalator, well, not an escalator, but something I don't know. Whether it's going. Now, the thing is, Doctor Who is an adventure series, and I don't want season 14 with all these quirky characters coming along. The TARDIS materializes, the Doctor comes out, and his companion comes out, and they've got a new companion. Hang on, the new companion can't get out of the front of the door because it's too narrow. So the side of the TARDIS goes beep, 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 and the whole of the side of the side, one panel of the side of the TARDIS comes down like a ramp, and then the companion rolls down the ramp. We're ready for action against the Cybermen and the Daleks and the Sontarans. Is it really going to get like that for Doctor Who?
Right.
What do you think? In all honesty, go on.
Right, well, let's go into logic over this, right? So you're doing a runner, right? You're doing a runner from, I don't know, some aliens that are after you, and you've got the person in the wheelchair and the other assistant, and they're pushing her along. So, like, because they can't get her through the TARDIS. I'm trying to.
No.
Very careful what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know what you're trying to say. Yes, we're trying to be.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you've got phaser bolts or laser bolts flying everywhere. Doctors, they're all running. Come on, let's get to TARDIS. So they're pushing her along, right? Or whoever's in the wheelchair. So they can't fit her in through. They can't fit her in through door. Right.
Yeah.
So you're telling me he pulls out a remote control device?
He uses it with his sonic. He uses sonic.
Right. Use sonic screwdriver. Points at the TARDIS, right? And one big wall on TARDIS comes.
Yeah, one side. Yeah, that's what I can see happening.
And it takes about 2 minutes to come down. Right, and then it leaves a big, massive gap in TARDIS where you can see everything. Right, and then you push it. By the time them energy bolts have gone into that TARDIS, would have wasted it.
Yeah,
it's not practical. So why would you, the side of the entire TARDIS, like doing that?
To represent people with disabilities, so that it's all.
I'm not saying that. Just say, oh God, we have to be. Wouldn't it be better for him to have like a ramp that comes out at the bottom of the TARDIS? Because I think you could push somebody in a wheelchair through the main entrance. I think
both the doors open, sort of like.
Wouldn't it be easy to have both the doors open and a ramp that slides out? Yeah, it's a little step. You just. Why do you need a fucking ramp for that? Look, I'm getting blocked into a corner here because I'm sorry. Trying to be so.
Really I know you are. It's my fault. I'm sorry.
This alone.
I'm sorry. I know. I did try not to. I'm sorry.
So wouldn't it be better for the ramp to come out at the bottom and open both TARDIS doors? Because he's got a motorbike through there, so I'm sure he can get a wheelchair. But for a whole side of the fucking TARDIS to come down. And it takes 2 minutes with that noise. Backing up in progress, you know. It's not you just like open both doors and the ramp had come out. Wouldn't the little ramp come out?
Well, and the thing is, this is probably the most absurd conversation I've ever had with anybody in my entire life. But it's at the point where you have to ask these questions. So, look. I don't know what's going to be happening after these specials with David Tennant and whoever's going to be involved. They look really good, and I will certainly be watching this. But it just so far, it looks like it's going to be a complete pile of shite. But that's just to me. Looks terrible.
Opening episode of Doctor Who, right? The opening moment, right. Where's that there? Sat there. Christmas, right?
With your turkey.
Right.
And your beer.
You're at home with your family, all nicely settled down at home, with all comfortable, heating on.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful Sunday fucking Christmassy day.
Yeah.
Snowing outside, Doctor Who. Right, and he's in a car park in his TARDIS, or she. Right, and they've got a new assistant in a fucking wheelchair, and she goes, how do I get in? And he goes, leave it to me, and he presses it. And like half of TARDIS comes out with that noise, doing that. And you're telling me there'll be more coffee tables across this country getting kicked up in the air because it's something of you vanished.
It'll be a ratings winner.
Oh,
the
you're there,
BBC will be
you vanished.
it'll get every award imaginable if they did that.
Well, I
you
don't
can see
know.
it.
Why would
done,
the fucking
well
TARDIS
done.
have a ramp? Why would it have? It's a TARDIS. You can walk into it. It's got a little flat step, so you can just push a wheelchair into it. Why would you want a fucking ramp? I read, when you sent that out, I read it. He said, and the TARDIS is getting a ramp, and I thought, fuck's sake.
Stairlift. Maybe be like a stairlift, like remember like the old comedies where you used to get the granny going up the stair lift.
Yeah, like Gremlins.
Maybe it'd be like that. It'd be kind of like that, like Thora Heard or someone.
What
like
a
that.
fucking stair lift! A Stanley stair lift comes out of TARDIS.
Yeah.
Well, wouldn't it be better just to transmat themselves into it? You know,
No,
like
because you've got
teleport
to show representation of people with disabilities and how that you're supposed to accommodate them.
So you put a ramp on TARDIS.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Oh, I give up.
Yeah,
Wish you'd never sent me that. I wish you.
I know. Well, I read it, and I mean, I've read it more than once.
I thought you were a joke. I thought you were joking, and then I looked into it.
I wish I was.
Thought, are you fucking kidding me?
No, absolutely. Fuck up. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm just so despondent about this entire thing.
It will be funny.
Bloody awful.
I mean,
watching
half at
TARDIS
TARDIS open up.
Oh no! It just sounds awful. It sounds terrible.
It does, doesn't it?
Ever since it started coming along, and I thought Russell T Davies is going to really swing things back to the way it was. And
when's this coming? When's this coming?
Well, it'll probably be 2024, because we've got the special with Jodie Whittaker this year. Then we've got the specials for the 60th next in autumn 2023. Unless they do the season before.
So when do we get rid of her then? When do we finally get shut of her?
October. She goes with her fam and she backs off. Yeah, October.
Is that when she regenerates?
Yeah, and then she's going to regenerate or she's going to degenerate into David Tennant.
And when do we get the David Tennant at Christmas?
A year later. Then? Well, I think it's. Oh no, I don't know. I don't know because they're filming.
What's the fucking point in making it?
I don't know anymore.
So right, you're telling me she's coming back in October, right?
Yeah, they filmed one more with her.
With the fucking ramp, right? With the ramp.
No, the ramp won't be this October. We're saving that for next year.
Right. So you're telling me, right?
Yes.
That we finally get fucking rid of that lot in October. And then she becomes Tennant, right?
I think.
And then surely there must be a Christmas special with David fucking Tennant. There's got to be.
It might be. I thought it was next year. I thought they were filming the 60th anniversary.
Oh, I'm not waiting around a year to watch that.
Of course you will. We'll be there. We'll be there in a year's time. Of course we will. You know you will. You know I will. Look,
I know.
Zoom's only got 2 minutes before recording, so what we're going to do is we're going to finish this
Hang on, I'm just going to get my ramp done.
All right, well, I'm going to save this and you get your ramp. Beep, beep. We'll see you in a minute for the focus of the week. Beep, beep, beep.
It's the Solar Sci-Fi Focus of the Week.
Right, so this week we are focusing on a show which I think came out in about 1978. It features Rock Hudson, and it is based on a book by Ray Bradbury. And that was the Martian Chronicles. Now, first of all, the Martian Chronicles obviously is a TV adaptation. Have you read the original books? Are you familiar with the actual? Yes. So this is where, because you normally read these things, I never get to read many of them. So first of all, before we go into the series, what did you think of the original books or book?
It's I've not read the books in 30 years. It was called Flight of a Silver Locust. It's massive, and basically, the middle of the TV series. You remember the little separate stories?
Yes.
Where that guy's flying around in a helicopter and meets that woman.
Yeah.
And there's all them little, and then the family with the androids and all that.
With the guy that was from Space 1999, wasn't it? Yeah. Or coming the actual actor, but
originally, Ray Bradbury wrote these weird single stories, and he didn't.
Oh,
do
so
all
it was
with
combined. It was combined together. Is that
So,
what you
and then he
say?
created the Martian Chronicles, and he added all these stories
Oh,
to
I
it.
didn't realise
which
they're all separate
There's
books or
about
whatever.
30 separate miniature stories within the book.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, we've in the TV miniseries. There was only about 4 or 5 put in there.
Yeah, there's about 4 or 5 different storylines. Yeah, that's right.
Over
that
to
was
you.
interesting. Well, first of all, I have seen the series before, but not for a long time. Now, first of all, that answers a few questions because it did seem to go into some quite random stories in this context of the actual whole compilation of what this is, this whole series. When I first watched the first episode, I thought it was pretty strong. I like the idea that basically it was the point where we want to go to Mars. We want to obviously set an outpost out there. They meet Martians, and they apparently kill off the majority of the Martians because somebody had chicken pox. So in many ways, it was a parallel with the War of the Worlds, where bacteria killed the Martians in that storyline as well, which is something I just thought of actually as I said that. And I thought the first episode was pretty strong. And it had some great characters in it. Now, first of all, when I first watched this, that there was some pretty big scientific inaccuracies on Mars. Mars seemed to be, for all but potential purposes, it was almost like it was terraformed. You had breathable air. You didn't seem to need to have any clothing to keep you warm. It rained in 1 or 2 episodes, and I thought that was, when I first watched it and they came out the rocket, they were actually just walking along with just like not even astronaut suits on. They're just walking around. I thought that's a bit weird. The whole series, it was a very strange
Gravity as well.
Gravity. Yeah, because isn't gravity on Mars about half of what we've got over here? So that's another inaccuracy as well.
Your physical strength would increase.
Yeah, because of course it means because you've got less force because of the lower gravity. So I thought episode 1 was pretty good, and then episode 2 it all started to get a bit odd with certain factors. Now I loved the idea that basically they're still communicating with Earth, and the Rock Hudson's character has got a brother or something out there. And they're saying there's big tensions between America and Russia, and it's all, and you could see where it was going. It was quite obvious that that Mars is going to be the main survival position for humanity with the people that live there. And then it just started to go into these weird, and you've already half explained it. We had the horny guy on a helicopter who met the blonde with the big tits, and he was trying to get into bed with her.
Yeah.
She said, no,
I've had dates like that over.
I just want you to do some I just want you to do some chores for me. And okay, now that season trail off. You had Roddy McDowell as I think he was a vicar or something. He was a religious sort of character.
Monk, wasn't he? A monk.
It was a monk, yeah. It was something in religious aspect of that. And then you had, I'm sorry I can't remember the name of the actor who was in Space 1999. He was in it as well as...
No, Barry Morse.
Barry Morse. Sorry, I couldn't think of it. Barry Morse was in it with his wife and daughter. But I just can't quite make it out as to how it all went. Now, I don't know whether I'm being a bit thick, but it didn't seem to... Although I've always remembered it and I've liked it, but I watched it over the weekend and I've not seen it for many a moon, and it just felt a bit incoherent, basically. Well, I don't know. I mean, let's get more of an aspect of your opinion about it all. I mean, do you highly rate this, or is it me being?
I don't. It is a weird one, Martian Chronicles.
Yeah,
it is a massive saga, but. It's like the Martians take they're like second fiddle in it, really.
I thought they were more like ascended beings at this point. They were about
well, if you look at the Martian culture now, you do feel for them because the Martians, they're not primitive; they're more advanced.
They are advanced, but they just don't make it that evident that they are.
No, they don't use technology. It's more spiritualism.
Yeah, it's
living
more of a
with nature,
and
they've got science, art, philosophy, but they're not like what we are.
No, they're completely different, which is that's the strength of the series, actually.
Yeah,
I thought that was quite good.
I think the scene of Mr. K in the house with the missus, You know, she's having a dirty fantasy about this guy dropping out of the sky for, you know. She's not like thinking about Harry or whatever he's called coming out of the sky, and he's there like who's Harry or whatever he's doing.
Yeah,
From the third planet, and
he's
he's
really
coming
nice.
to see me. And he gets all jealous. But the thing that scared me is when he put that mask on. When I was a kid,
that mask was really
freaked me
quite
out.
creepy. Yeah, it was quite
It was.
creepy. And so were the
Freaked me
guns,
out.
which look like umbrellas.
Yeah.
They look like closed
And-
umbrellas, which is strange.
He went off and slaughtered the first two. You had some machine gun fire, and they were that with it. And then,
that's right. That's right.
Then the second part, you got Spider-Man, Nicholas Hammond from the 70s. He landed.
Yes,
And-
I recognised
and-
him somewhere. Yeah.
You're just not going to fall for that, are you? You know,
No.
they get off the shit. I like the thing with the lift door coming down. You know, the lift under.
Don't go back to lifts again. Don't go back.
Yeah,
back
yeah. And they've all got casual like jackets on.
Yeah, it was a casual thing. It was so strange. It's like, what?
Yeah,
It's
and
like,
they're
okay.
like, oh look, there's the town, and then his ex-girlfriend turned up, and his mum and dad. But the bit that got creepy, that when he's in bed in his pajamas,
Oh, and his
and he
like
says-
brothers there.
you can't hide the air, and the Martian just sits there, and it really scary scene. He said, "We're not like this. We're a decent people, but you've made us like this, and we've seen your world because we can look into your mind."
Yeah.
And it basically shits us all up. And I felt sorry for Martian. That's when I started feeling for him.
Actually, sort
And
of
then-
identifying with their aspects of their problems.
Yeah, and then they walk. I love that scene when all astronauts said they walk away, illusions disappearing a bit at a time. This is where I thought this stood out, because the first episode is the best one.
Yeah, that's what I
I
was
thought.
going to say.
Yeah,
the first
I
one was
totally
solid.
agree with you. It's the strong, powerful.
Then it kind of
episode.
loses it a bit after that for me.
And then we got the spender thing. The guy goes off in the helicopter. His mate's quite philosophical, and then there's the other crew members getting drunk and throwing bottles in water, and he's getting annoyed. And Rock Hudson, he's quite a balanced character.
Yeah, he's quite
isn't he?
he's quite a strong character, and he's a family
He
man.
represents
and
the best of us.
yes,
doesn't
he does. He does.
And other three are just, you don't want them there. And
No.
Spender starts killing them all. And
Mhm.
but the question is, was he a Martian or was he Spender? There was something happened to him when he went off on that journey. Something affected him to make him. He said,
Maybe,
"I'll
unless there
kill
was some-
every mission
Yeah.
that will land. At least I can live till 70 and keep you away from this planet."
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I agree.
and then after that, it's like the thing is, the human race is coming, colonization, building, and money, and all the crap that's going to come
all the
with
crap.
it.
Yeah, exactly. All the baggage from humanity is going to be on Mars.
You look at this beautiful world of this spiritual people that lived in peace for millions of years, that mastered science out of like they just did their own thing.
Yeah,
And we're
because they're so
coming-
alien. They are proper alien in everything
yeah,
they do.
yeah.
That was the strength of the show. That was actually
They
the
are
strength.
beautiful people.
But
And
what made
the-
them change was that they learned through telepathy how different we were and how incompatible
God,
we were.
Can you
That
imagine
was the
what
strength
they
of
must
the
have
show.
seen
Yeah,
when
this
they
is what
looked
was
into
the whole
our
aspect.
minds?
That was really clever. That was the best bit of the show.
Yeah,
And I think that's really it's one of the strengths, and this is why I've never forgotten it.
Yeah, and-
but it was weird. It was just.
Did
this
you
time
find
round.
that? Did you find in this there was like this sense of creepiness with it as well?
Yeah.
That there was
There's a real
there was
atmosphere in it.
something.
A real
There was an atmosphere. It keeps you hooked to it
Yeah,
because
it
the
does.
Martian.
It does keep you hooked. Yeah.
It like after episode 1, we get that we're coming. And Paul Martians, they've gone somewhere. They're still around, but they've gone somewhere.
They're really hidden.
And then
there's not there's no
in
force.
episode 2, it's like you get the monks and suddenly you've got ascended Martians that have evolved.
right.
Like
Yeah. And those
And-
spheres. The spheres.
yeah, and they just all they do is just fly around Mars, bubbles, and they're benevolent.
That's right.
And that was sort of interesting because that put the question of religion and aliens and
Yeah, but I like
Which-
that. I like the idea of religion and how in a religious because I'm not religious at all, but I went
No,
to a
I'm not.
church school. I actually went to a church school, so I've had the education, and I
Okay.
think it's really
Yeah.
good to have the education, then you can make your own choice about religion. But I like the idea as somebody who would be religious as to how they'd react if an alien presence were to actually interact with them and say, and how your perspective of religion would be changed based on extraterrestrial interaction. That was really clever. I thought that was very solid.
And it holds out. And then there was the scene where that lad turns up at that mother and father, the farmers.
Yeah.
And he's a Martian, but he can't go into town because everybody that sees him will see what they want. And it'll kill him. It's like he's his protection, his defence.
Yeah.
And mother keeps saying, come into town. And the father says, I don't know who and what you are, but you've made her happy. Yeah. You know, and that's it. This poor Martian who's alone is trying to survive, but he can't handle all our emotion. It's
too incompatible. It's too different.
Because everybody's seen somebody they've lost or the love.
That's it. Yeah.
And then there's that scene where he dies at the end. You see, Rock Hudson sees his first Martian, and that was it. And then we jump. Is it episode 2? We get the nuclear war.
Yeah, it was the middle of episode 2.
It's the end, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then you get Darren McGavin over on that mission. He's opened the cowboy restaurant.
Yeah, he's like a saloon bar. It's like a western, almost like a saloon.
Yeah, built a
bar,
burger
and he wants to make
nowhere.
Yeah, and he wants to make money out of it, selling burgers to astronauts or whatever it is.
And thinks they're all coming, thousands of them. You know, poor fucking Martians.
But he's the one that sees the Earth get destroyed at the end of part 2.
Yeah, well, that's again, like, I agree with you, first episode. But when I watched that as a kid, when I saw Earth get destroyed, it
scared the hell out of you, doesn't it?
Yeah, it is scared living daylights out of me.
And in episode 3, he shoots a Martian. That was quite interesting as well.
Yeah, well, it don't make sense because, like he's watching that, and these Martians turn up in his restaurant
thing, like a chariot
and said,
thing.
"We're going to give you half the planet, but be prepared." And then he shoots them all. But in the book, that does happen. But what it is, no Martian dies because what they're doing is projecting it into his head.
Okay.
In the book, it's meant to be all of it's an illusion, but the Martians do.
Very big bit of trivia here. A lot of the weaponry sound effects were used in Terrorhawks. I don't know why I should mention that, but a lot of the sounds of the weapons. Yeah. Because I'm a sound guy, a lot of sounds we heard in Terrorhawks.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, a lot of sounds I recognise from Terrorhawks and Joe Nation stuff.
But the thing was, then we got into the 3rd episode.
That's when it lost the plot. That's when I was like, okay. Well,
over to you on the 3rd episode.
Well, I think the main thing I remember was the horny guy with the blonde with the big tits, and I'm sorry, but it was like, what the hell was that all about? I mean, I recognise. I think that woman was an Annie or something. I recognise the actress, and he sort of like. He just lands and he sort of starts talking to her, and she just wants him to do lots of chores for him. And then he says at one point, "Oh, is it time to go to bed now?" And then she says, "Oh no, I've got to go to bed." And she sort of said, "I've got plenty of chores for you to do in the morning. Good night." Or so. And I thought, well, what's the point of, And the Barry Moore's character, I don't know.
Yeah, can we just go? Do you mind if we go back to the one with the woman and him?
Yeah, go for it. Go ahead.
You know when he gets that radio message and he meets her, and all she cares about is looking beautiful and doing herself up.
Yeah.
And I mean, he had that whole scene. It had absolutely.
It was a bit odd. Yeah.
It was totally. Why have you put that in? It
was about 20 minutes of complete utter nonsense.
Yeah, and then I remember saying that he's trying it on with her, but she's moving away and she's going on about how beautiful.
Yeah, like he puts his hand on her shoulder. We don't do any of that. Or like
and
that.
It's like okay. she basically wants him to like look after and serve her. Well, she looks
like almost like a butler to her or something.
So he clears off, doesn't he? I think he ends up with that family of androids, doesn't he?
Yeah, he goes to somewhere else, doesn't he?
Yeah,
that's right, that's it.
But that was totally, utterly pointless. But over to you.
Well, that was, like I said, episode 3 was where it really, because it was a very strange, I think the way you could see it is this. the idea of an alien race which is so different, and they learn through telepathy and interaction and spirituality rather than technology, and that was really the main focus of this science fiction story. And that is, to me, is what the Martian Chronicles represented. How life on an alien planet is just perceived to us as being primitive, but they're not. They're as equally as intelligent, more intelligent than us, but their whole background, their whole way of existing is just so different, and we were such a threat to them. And that to me is the Martian Chronicles. What wasn't to me was the blonde with big tits wanting the guy to pick up the pieces and pick up tissues of paper off the floor or put up a shed or whatever it was. That was the weird bit. So go on.
You know what freaked me? The one thing that freaked me out at Martian Chronicles, my parents have recorded it. They went out and I went out. I watched it, and it was the episode where I think it's Roddy McDowell or the other actor, where the Martian looks like Jesus, and that as a kid, that was really creepy because the religious background. To see someone who looks like a representation of Jesus, that was good. You see, it's a very strange series. It's got some really good bits and some really weird bits. It's a really weird mix. But there's this when the Martians get pushed back, it's like there's something that they're there. They're still there in the background. They're there.
You know their presence is there.
But there's something creepy about them face masks, what they're wearing.
And the weird umbrella guns, and you see them like in a flash for a second, and then they disappear, and then they'll have experience, and then did that really happen, or was that my imagination?
I don't. It's like,
I like that.
The question is, where are the Martians? I know you've got the ascended ones, but then where the
I always got the impression that there were some physically alive Martians, but just someone that wasn't really focused on the series. And that was the factor. And maybe what we were seeing, if we saw them, was some projections of them from their physical, wherever they were actually. I think it might have been a mental projection. They were alive, but you only saw them through mental projections, as well as the ascended ones as well. I don't know. I like the questions which this show gives me.
Even years
and we're not even got. That's what I'm saying. That's good writing, because you haven't got all the answers, so you have to interpret the way you saw the series, and that's what makes it strong. That's the way I see it, which is why I do rate the Martian Chronicles. I still think
because I did some reading up on it after I watched it on my phone. And some people said even after all these years, there's some bad moment like her with the big titties and all that, which you didn't need in it. But the general program itself, it answers some amazing questions,
some great ideas,
big things in front of you.
Absolutely, exactly how I see it.
But the question I put to you is that at the end, when Rock Hudson with his family look at the reflection in the water.
We are Martians. Yeah.
What did you think to that as an ending? What was your?
I saw it as basically him and his family and other survivors were, because of the fact that if there is a presence on Mars from any Martians alive, that it's so minimal that they're, as with regards to who they are and how they're going to proceed through Martian influence, will it'd be almost like a symbiotic thing where they were human, but they're also now partly Martian because of how they're adapting to their new environment. And that's probably how I interpret that.
Do you remember the scene where Rock Hudson went outside his house and he met a Martian from the past? It were like
and they had this really good conversation about being. I loved that scene because it didn't give any answer. But it was very kind of unspecific as to why he was in the past, and he said we're from the year 44, 23, 92, but we existed. We've been here millions of years ago, and now we're talking to you now. And I think he said he was from the past. He was communicating that from the present. It was a bit whether it was, but it could be a telepathic projection from the past or something. I don't know, or it could have been a memory of one of those from somebody who is alive now, from one of the living or the ascended Martians communicating. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. But it didn't need the answers. It makes you just wonder, and I think to me, talking to you like this, it's actually reminded me of a lot of good aspects about this. You just got to accept the fact that it's just very different. but it's very
Yeah.
unique. It's very it stands out on its own right, and I think it's a good series. Now, do you? I mean, sometimes you tell me about other versions. Were there any other remakes, or anything from that you're aware
well,
of?
From what I looked, if you go on Wikipedia, there was an opera.
That's why I'm on now, looking as I'm talking to you.
I'm surprised you. There was a musical or something.
Really? Oh, that's
I don't know if it might be worth you having a look for it. If you go on Wikipedia, there was a musical.
Okay.
There's radio plays. I mean, that's standard. But there was a theatre production of it as well.
Do you think it will ever be recreated, or like a reboot or something for this current audience, this current era? Because it's quite hard to get your head round in certain aspects.
I think it's a beautiful piece of science fiction. I thought when I've seen it a few times now, and I still think it's all right, the model effects and that, but apart
it doesn't
from
matter about that. That's fine. That doesn't
the
matter
message in it, and the Martian culture and the human greed and that, I think it goes to an amazing place.
Yeah, I do as well. So
I
suppose,
but then there's something creepy in the background about it as well. I always felt that with it. I don't know if you did, but
yeah, I did. And like I said, like we've already discussed, the fact that certain aspects aren't fully explained, and how there is still a Martian presence, but it's just so alien that it's why it's not there in your face. It's in the background. It's there, and it's sort of like bubbling away in the background, but it's not so easy to perceive. That's very clever.
I'm really glad we covered this.
Yeah, actually, this has turned out to be a really good one.
I said this is a bloody good one, because
we've had a really good discussion about this one.
Do you think they could remake that today as a TV series, like on Netflix, or a free movie version at the cinema?
I think I don't know, to answer your question, because I think it works as a late 70s production based on the world that it was made in, i.e. the way that things were. Yeah. And I think that these days, a lot of these current shows, they just want to go for the mainstream as much as possible. Yeah. And they get less of the science fiction, more of the ratings on Netflix, the hits and things like that. Yeah. So, but they can do certain things. If it was done by the right person in the right way, then I would love to check out a remake. I don't know whether it will ever get remade, but we live in interesting times, so you never know.
I like how I did feel for the Martians, though. They just took such a back seat to it, as it progressed, they became less, and it was more about
that was the whole purpose. That was the whole point.
More about human.
If they were more in your face, I think that it wouldn't have had such an impact, because they were so alien and so in the background, but their presence was very strong in the entire series, but not in the way that most science fiction
not
shows
in a physical
which
way,
is why it stands out, and that to me is what makes it a special show. And actually, even talking to you about it, it's probably actually gone off a few points just even talking to you today about it, because I'm realizing stuff as you've talked about it, about all the strengths about it. And of course, yes, you had the blonde with the big tits, but that's fair enough. So I suppose out of 10, what would you rate it? What would you give it out of 10? Do you think?
Do you know, I'm going to be fucking generous today.
Go on.
Because I've enjoyed this one so much.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10.
I'm going to give it an 8. I'm not going to give it as high as you, but I did like it. I'm going to give it 8 out of 10.
I'll give it a 10. I'll tell you what, I know there's there with the big titties, but it's not because of that. I think it's because of how we watched it when it originally came out, and it stuck with us.
Absolutely. Which is why we both mentioned it.
Growing up with it. Stuck with me. We've had the next.
It is a good solid series. It's a good solid series.
And I think it deserves the 10, because look at it, it's a science fiction masterpiece. It's got its faults, don't get me wrong, but there's something within the soul of it that lifts it up, and I can't explain that. Why do you give it?
I mean, I probably would have given it a 7 before actually thinking it through today, but today it's gone up definitely a point, even maybe 8 points. I'll stick with 8. Let's stick with 8.
Why?
What's gone up with it is the idea of us talking about the alien society being so alien, but that's the strength of it being in the background. And although I did see it, your perspective, the way you saw it as well, makes me realise, actually that gives it an extra strength, which is, although it was evident when I watched it again over the weekend, it actually makes it more significant and more unique in respect of all these. We've reviewed so many shows now, but it's definitely jumped up a point since the weekend. So God knows what it'll be up to next week.
Yep.
It's good, solid series. Really enjoyed it, and I'm really glad that they made it. So Martin, thank you for that. So thank you very much. Now we're going to wrap up soon, but before we do, you wanted to come back and talk about the Orville from last week. So the Tale of Two Topers. What did you think of it?
I actually thought I thought it was just an absolute amazing episode. I liked how they went at a certain issue, dealt with it
very,
in a very mature,
very mature way. Not just a gimmick.
It wasn't patronising.
No, it
you
wasn't.
went into the feeling of an individual who wasn't happy, and the whole thing. And it wasn't resolved in a happy way because
no,
when
it wasn't. It was
Clyden said to his own daughter that because the Moclan culture and all that,
just have the males. So they have the male
when he said, "I wish you were never born," I
was really dumbfounded by that. That floored me.
I was.
My God, that was pretty shocking. That was a very shocking moment. Just how
beautifully written,
because how close-minded he was. Because of course the boy. Well, originally the boy was a baby girl, and then they got changed to the male. And of course now, I was surprised that the boy became a girl again. I was very surprised that they went down that route. But
but it's how she felt inside both.
But, I mean, obviously we get a lot of shows about transgenderism, and if that's the right term, but obviously it's quite prevalent. But it was done in a way which, to me, wasn't just to tick boxes. And this is what I keep going about, the tick box mentality. I don't mind any aspect of any of these rights and things which need to be addressed in whatever capacity, whether it's science fiction, in drama, whatever. I don't want a show doing representation to tick boxes. I want a show to approach a story like this or an issue like this, right, and make it just intelligently written, not just to tick boxes to satisfy some TV exec. And this was a prime example of how the Orville did approach a subject which is, very relevant to the current generation and to everybody, and did it in a very intelligent. It wasn't a tick box. It was just a cleverly written story, which happened to fit that.
Writing.
That's why going back to Doctor Who, I think they're going to completely mess it up.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to say so. I know I keep going.
I thought the writing on that.
Oh, it's brilliant.
And it was very prime directed.
It was prime directed.
The Moclan culture is the male thing, but Bortus's wife was originally a female.
That's right.
And then you get the society of hypocrisy that comes with it. But the thing that did it for me, when Clyden said, because there was that scene with Commander Grayson, when Clyden tried to strangle her, but she got hold of it. And I thought, where is this going? And it got like that. And Bortus, he took his daughter's side. He said she should be free to choose what she wants. Yeah. And I supported Bortus.
So, bear me a second. Sorry, mate. Just be 1 second. Sorry, mate. No, you can get the door. Sorry. Sorry about that, everybody. Expecting delirious, hoping it was going to come. Carry on what you're saying. Sorry, Martin.
But Bortus took his daughter's side. And after Clyden said that, Bortus said to her, to me, you'll always be perfect.
Yeah,
and
I know.
That was beautiful. And that's where it finished. It was an amazing episode.
And it reminded me a bit of the similar sort of storyline with regard to the Outcast episode in The Next Generation, with Riker falls in love with Soren, who in this race they were sort of asexual. They weren't, but they said that they used to be two sexes and they became one sex.
Yeah.
So they had people on the planet who did have the old-fashioned feelings of male and female genderism.
Yeah.
And that was done, and that was a sad episode because in the end she gets changed back so that she's quote normal in their society.
Yeah, in their
very similar aspects. So ahead of the time. That was made about 1991.
Yeah.
And again, this is what I'm saying about some of these new shows like Strange New Worlds and The Orville. You can still write very, very politically correct stuff, but in a very adult and just satisfying manner. And I think that this is the best episode of The Orville season 3 so far, and it was excellent. And
I have to say that some people are kicking off about all this subjects on different things and that, but how The Orville wrote this episode, they did it the right way. It wasn't in your face. It wasn't patronising. It dealt with it. And in a great scientific context. But it was about the individual of how that person feels. It wasn't about it was what she wanted. And I will say this with Russell T Davies, he may find a way of approaching some of this similar context in a very well written manner. And I mean, like I said, I know we'd be joking. What, with the ramp? With the ramp. Not the ramp, but with regard to other aspects, I mean, I just feel, I don't know, I've lost my confidence with Dr. But I'm very confident with if we got science fiction written like that all the time, I would really enjoy it. It wouldn't become the point where I'm actually thinking, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. That's why rolling your eyes thinking, here we go again, which is how I'm going in some ways. Somebody posted a picture of Topa on Facebook, and there were 800 comments. And I thought, here you go, let's have a look. And everybody, from what the comments are, I had to scroll down quite a lot of them, and everybody was positive about that episode. Absolutely. I was quite pleased. I was completely, because I was expecting we're getting all that thrown at us. With none of that, everybody said, "What a well-written, fantastic episode." It's like that. I would never have an issue with that, but it's so rare to get that with the current writing in these shows that we follow. Going on now with you provide that, I'll be there, and I'll never have a negative word about it. That's what I want to see, but I don't see that. This is an exception to the majority, which is just best episode. Cross-ticking rubbish that we get these days. Now, again, the Zoom is running out again, so we're going to wrap up. So, Martin, thank you very much. That was a great show. Unless there's anything else you want to say, we're going to wrap up with your stand-up routine, which you practiced last week. Just to get an insight into some of your background activities outside of the Solar One Sci-Fi podcast. Well, any last words before we shoot off? I don't know if you should put it up. I don't know. Up to you. Okay, so if we don't, this will fade out to nothing. So we'll talk about it afterwards. Yeah, can you let me do that tomorrow night? I'll let you know. Just let's hold off for 1 week. 1 week. Well, so when do we release this episode then? Do we release this episode later then, or no? Release this as normal, but put another ending. All right, okay. Let's forget the one. Do you want last week. Are you going to put the whole thing up, not the whole 3-minute thing? Yeah, I was going to. But, no. Let me do. Let tomorrow night. It's about self-confidence. If I get it right, and I'm buzzing, I'll tell you what. All right. I will say to you, put it up next week. All right. Well, let's finish off then. We'll just sort of do a fade out. So, but yeah, next week, if you've got a thumbs up, we'll feature that. And if it's a thumbs down, then that'll be the last we ever mention it. So we're going to wrap up. So, Martin, thank you very much. Next week, we're going to do Star Trek: Strange New Worlds season 1 because we would have finished the whole thing, and this is going to be a good one because this is the best Star Trek we've seen, I think, since 2005 when Enterprise finished. So, Martin, thank you very much. We will catch you next week on the Solar One Sci-Fi podcast. Live long and prosper. Live long and prosper.